Hi, y'all. Coach Remy here, and I want to share with you the biggest mistake that my clients have made when it comes to interviewing for their next new job. And maybe you've been making this mistake too, and you just didn't even know that it was an option. So, you've probably heard that you should ask questions during your interview, right? What kinds of questions are you actually asking them? So, you've gotten the interview, you know you're qualified. Maybe it's gone really well and they've asked you questions and you feel like you have answered them really well. They seem to be responding well. You're still not done. You haven't sealed the deal. So, to seal that deal and make sure that you are the person that they are picturing being the successful candidate in that role, you have to use power questions. So, one of the questions that I hear people ask the most is, what do you love most about being here? And this, in and of itself, isn't a bad question. You know, people will answer. And if they like where they're working, then they're going to answer it positively and they're going to tell you all the great things about that job. That's not really what you need to hear. And that's not really what they need to be thinking about. You shouldn't be having them think about how much they love their job. You should ask questions that make them think about how much they would love having you working on that job with them. So these are what I call power questions. And a good example of what I mean by a power question is something like, what is your top priority this year and how do you see me contributing to that goal? Okay, so you've used how do you see me contributing to it? You are already planting that sort of psychological, I'm in this role now. How are we working together positively? You're making them consider how it would be positive. You're making them consider how it would be effortless to work with you, how it would be great to have your help, how they could leverage your experience. So that's just one example of a power question. Obviously, you know, when I'm talking with my coaching clients, they get a whole lot more. But you can probably come up with a list of your own power questions. So the guidelines for these are that they get the interviewer thinking about you already performing in that role and doing it well. You're envisioning how effortless it's going to be to work with you and how wonderful it's going to be once you're hired. The last thing you want to do is have them thinking about themselves without you in the picture, if that makes sense. The next guideline I want to share is make sure that you are speaking to them as though you're already hired. They'll correct you. They will. You know, I remember a couple of jobs ago, they corrected me every single time and said, you know, the successful candidate. And I would say, yeah, whatever. I mean, sorry, whatever. But I ended up being that successful candidate. You know, it doesn't matter if they correct you. Just continue to do it because, you know, it will work. And you have much more of a chance of becoming that successful candidate the more that they think about you and how you're going to contribute to their bottom line and make them look good. Now, another guideline is to be completely authentic. And I know that sounds so Coke bottle generic, but what I mean by authentic is be brutally authentic. So one of my favorite things to share with interviewers is that I am high maintenance as an employee if you're a micromanager. So if you are a micromanager, then we are not going to have a whole lot of fun together. But if you give me a goal and just let me run with it, I will accomplish it better than you ever thought possible because that's just how I do things. I may make mistakes and I may come to you for help, but but we're going to have issues. Another way that I'm high maintenance is that I get things done pretty quickly and I get bored if I'm just sitting there. So I will probably be asking you for lists and lists and lists of special projects and committees and organizations to get involved in, and trying to find my own ways to expand. And how do you feel about that? So, you know, be authentic. Let them know. If you're high maintenance, tell them why, because it's probably not a bad thing. If you need your free time, say, hey, listen, you know, I was a single mother the entire time. I'm still a single mother, and he's 13 now, so it's a lot less work. But, you know, back when he was 7, 8, 9 years old, it was tough. it's really tough. So I made sure to share that in the interview and say, sometimes I may have to take off unexpectedly to go to the school and pick up my son. However, always expect an email from me by the end of the day or a little later. However much time I take from you, I'm going to give it back that evening or over the weekend. And you'll never have to worry about whether or not I'm shirking my duties, because that's just not who I am. So here's, something you should be aware of, but here's how I make that worth it. I might be high maintenance, but I'm totally worth it. So be authentic. Try and find out what are the things that you really need from that job. How can you communicate that to someone? And how can you also have them feel completely comfortable with it? Because if you don't share certain things, then the first couple of weeks you're there are going to be stressful for you, because maybe you're not taking care of things you need to take care of, or they're going to be stressful for your boss because they're going to wonder, okay, I had no idea this person was going to need to take off in the middle of the day unexpectedly. So make sure that everything is crystal clear and positive. So if you have additional questions on this, please, please, please feel free to join my Facebook group. It's called Ditch Your 9 to 5 and Land Your Dream Job. And I post a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, weather willing. Here in Texas, we had kind of a crazy weather system on Wednesday. But in it, I like to share all the different techniques and strategies you can use for transitioning fearlessly from the role that you're in right now that really isn't serving you anymore and maybe you desperately need to get out of, how you can transition into a job that's completely fulfilling and completely 100% made for you. So I hope to see you there. Take care and have a great week.